Now on the CTV News at 5. Iran retaliates after the U.S. bombs the country's nuclear facilities. Plus, fire bans are being lifted after all that rain. And changes to the city of Lethbridge's online safety toolkit.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. We're glad you could join us. It was a wet weekend. Environment Canada says Lethbridge received 59 millimeters of rain since Friday. While the wet weather caused some challenges for city crews, others in the region say the precipitation could not have come at a better time. Carson Marsouk reports.
Farmers in southern Alberta are describing the recent rainfall as a turnaround event for this year's growing season after a dry spring.
We've gone from, honestly, to where we probably wouldn't even have combined to probably having an average to potentially a little better than average crop. And so, I mean, they talk about $1 million rains, but you know, these are multi-million-dollar rains for lots of farms.
Heading into the season, the St. Mary River Irrigation District set an allocation level of 12 inches.
I've heard from some of my irrigators that they feel it could be a real game changer for this year's crop year of just the time it came and the amount of volume that we got in some areas.
David Westwood says the rainfall should help ensure that number doesn't decrease over the summer.
We saw an uptick in all of our reservoirs, again, mainly due to lack of use, but obviously the rainfall actually contributed to some rising levels as well.
According to weatherstats.ca, Lethbridge received more rain in the 2 days than all of June last year. And while it's good news for some, others in the city have begun the cleanup process.
It was a really busy weekend. We were set up really well with folks with rakes and shovels and just in different areas of the city looking for problems.
The city's 311 received 81 sewer-related and 26 tree-related calls during the storm. In 2020, the city updated its process for its rain event response, with this weekend being the first time it was enacted.
Everything that we laid out worked really well, and we had a really good process, and we followed it, and it turned out really well. I think we were really lucky that the storm was as slow and steady as it was, and it lasted a long time, and we had lots of notice.
The city says while the wastewater treatment plant saw significantly increased flows, there were no major issues reported. Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
According to Environment Canada, Kananaskis Valley saw the most precipitation in all of Alberta at 201 millimeters, as reported by a third party. It was followed by Capon, which is south of Oyen, then Azure, Pekisco, and Stavely. Environment Canada also recording some strong wind gusts. Milk River, it was clocked at 87 kilometers per hour. Travers, Champion, Fort Macleod, and Bassano round out the top 5. Claresholm, Mossley, and Stavely all had gusts reported at 80. While many got rain this weekend, others in the Rocky Mountains woke up to snow Saturday. This video was posted to social media that was taken in Elkford, BC. North of Sparwood on Saturday, the area was covered in fresh white snow. Towards southern Alberta, Castle Mountain Resort saw some fresh powder on the mountain. While it's not uncommon for summer snow at the resort, staff say they're already looking forward to the winter season.
The webcams were a little bit white in the Alpine here on Sunday, which was, I don't know, when you're in the ski business, it's always nice to see.
Despite the snow, staff say work is continuing to install the new Stagecoach Express chairlift at the resort, along with a range of activities and festivities scheduled throughout the summer. Now, because of all that rain, the fire ban for both of Lethbridge's River Bottom and County have been lifted. Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services say the recent weather conditions, including higher humidity, have reduced the fire risk in the area. Both the city and county say precautions should still be taken when having outdoor fires and to always use clean, dry wood and extinguish a fire completely before leaving. In the county, the municipality says burning barrels and incinerators are now allowed to be used. Now, cooler temperatures and rain have helped tame the wildfire situation in most areas across Alberta, but the province says fires in the northern region are expected to escalate in the next few days. According to the provincial dashboard, 49 wildfires are burning in the province, 19 are out of control. Wildfires in the northern Slave Lake and High Level area did not get the same moisture as many others. Many of the fires burning across the province are big and are burning underground. Moisture is enough to buy some time, but not to put them out. Wildfire officials warn it's still early in the season with a lot of heat ahead.
It doesn't take much for that moisture to evaporate, so it buys us time, but we're still going to see fire danger increase in the coming weeks, especially as the heat of the summer really settles in. That's just to be expected.
Of course, thunderstorms carry the potential to spark new fires, and many people will be heading into parks for the Canada Day holiday. The province is warning everyone to be careful because often during a long weekend there is a spike in human-caused fires. Danielle Savoni joins us now. And Danielle, obviously a pretty big weekend in terms of weather events, but we're still seeing more activity right now.
Yeah, we are. So behind the system is the instability. So this has led to these pop-up showers and thunderstorms out there. Even one just a couple of hours ago skirting Lethbridge, and you could see a couple happening in southern Alberta at this point. So there is the potential for thunderstorm activity for this southeast corner, especially for the next few hours, on and off showers and thunderstorms possible. All right, 19 degrees in Lethbridge right now. So yes, we're still below normal, mostly cloudy skies with the potential for showers and thunderstorms, and certainly some overnight rain is a possibility as well. 19 degrees again in Lethbridge, 20 in Milk River, 21 in Medicine Hat, 19 in Drumheller. More details coming up, Jackie.
All right, thank you, Danielle. Iran made good on its threat to attack the U.S. after the Trump administration dropped 30,000 bunker buster bombs on 3 nuclear facilities. The U.S. was expecting it in what it was being called a symbolic retaliation on a U.S. military base in Qatar. With more, CTV's Joy Melvin in Washington.
Explosions boomed over the night sky, terrifying images of missiles seen over Doha and posted on social media. Iranian state TV said it fired missiles at the Al Adid U.S. military base that President Donald Trump visited just 1 month ago. Qatar says its air defenses managed to intercept Iranian missiles, and no casualties have been reported. The attack was announced on Iran state TV Proportionate. Iran said to the attack by the U.S. it was bomb for bomb. This was retaliation, Iran says, for the U.S. bombing Saturday. Satellite imagery shows the damage to 3 nuclear facilities targeted by the U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran this was a one-off and not to strike back, or else.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Iran reportedly gave Qatar advance notice of the attacks, temporarily closing its airspace, U.S. military bases, and major U.S. cities on high alert. The president meeting with his national security team and the Trump administration stressing,
we're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
But it comes as the president, sure to anger Iran, floated the idea of regime change.
Of course, Iran would like to escalate in response to the Israeli and the American attacks, but we will see exactly whether Iran is actually able to effectively respond. And I think this is what we're going to see over the next 48 hours.
Throughout all this, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff has kept in touch with Iranian officials. The Trump administration still leaving the door open to some kind of diplomatic resolution. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
Closer to home, 1 person is dead, another seriously injured after a 2-vehicle crash near Fernie. It happened Friday shortly after 6 p.m. at Kubinick Road, about 10 kilometers south of Fernie. Elk Valley RCMP say a black Chevy Cruze and gray GMC Yukon collided. A 40-year-old man driving the black car was pronounced dead at the scene. He was en route to Calgary to visit his girlfriend. The driver of the SUV, a 49-year-old woman from Okotoks, suffered serious injuries. RCMP say witnesses reported seeing a vehicle matching the woman's driving erratically near Blairmore earlier that day. Investigators ask anyone who saw the crash or has dash camera footage of either vehicle to contact them. The City of Lethbridge's online safety toolkit has been refreshed and now has a new home. The free guide now lives on the Lethbridge Police Service website. It features new content and updated resources for all ages, offering clear, practical guidance on high-risk behaviors, families, and communities that they can easily access tips and tools to stay safe while online.
It goes from anywhere from parental controls to what risks are happening currently in the landscape of the digital world with youth, and how to help take a preventative approach in educating children.
Oftentimes we have parents that are going through a myriad of information online themselves, trying to determine what is a trustworthy site, what information is relevant to me. So to be able to have it in a place where, whether you're looking at online safety tips for the youth themselves, or if you have a youth that's in high school, it just has all the information in one place that everyone can access.
The toolkit was originally launched in October 2024 and as part of the Building Safety Communities Initiative. Another substantial donation today to improve cardiac care in southern Alberta. Medicine Hat's Bill and Elizabeth Ewell making a $5 million donation through the Ewell Family Foundation. The funding will help bring life to the proposed Southern Alberta Centre for Cardiac Excellence. Bill Ewell said, when we learned cardiac mortality in our region is 26.6% higher than the rest of Alberta, we knew we had to act. $2 million is designated for new community-based initiatives in cardiac prevention, including education and early detection. The rest will be used to fund cardiac intensive care unit beds and new state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Well, Danielle is back with your 5-day forecast on the other side of this break. We've also got the results of a remarkable study on type 1 diabetes to share.
All right, well, your Skywatch weather camera facing west. A nice day, a little unstable, but we're dealing with better weather compared to parts of central Alberta, for example. I'll explain that a little more in just a minute, but first we'll talk temperatures. And Calgary just 17 so far as a high today, Lethbridge 20, but it's warmer than yesterday. So the temperatures are recovering. Check out east though, 36 degrees was the high in Toronto, and that came with humidity. It felt more like 45. So they're getting excessive heat out east and been dealing with that for days. Well, we're well below normal off to the west. So quite a discrepancy in temperatures from west to east in the country. 20 degrees is the temperature in Lethbridge at the moment. So we've been hovering between 19 and 20 over the past couple of hours, just 12 in Calgary, 22 in Medicine Hat, so well below normal. Lethbridge should be at a high of 24 degrees, around that for this time of year. So yeah, we've been below normal for the weekend, for today, but temperatures are on the rise. So we're looking at more of a zonal flow starting to kick in. So we're getting out of this trough, the trough that created all that rainfall for us. When we get in this zonal flow, it'll help regulate temperatures throughout the country in general over these next couple of days. So we're not going to be excessively hot here, but we certainly will be warmer than what we've been over the past few days. When we look at watches and warnings, well, into Saskatchewan, all in the red here, this is the tornado watch in place, and then a statement in place basically around the Provost area and just to the east of Vegreville. So these areas, yes, rotation is possible in the cells that they receive there. So for the south part of the province, for us, yes, we're looking at the potential on and off thunderstorm activity. We've already probably seen it in many communities. We have that potential, but it should be less severe. A little bit of lightning, big downpour, but really quick. And again, very isolated, so these will be out of the way. I want to give you the timeline here. This is a shot at 7 p.m. So we're still have the potential for showers and thunderstorm activity near the Medicine Hat area. And then in the overnight hours, we're going to have some rainfall peek into the Lethbridge area, Crowsnest Pass as well. It shouldn't last too long, but may deliver another couple millimeters of rainfall. Then clear for tomorrow, a nice quiet morning. And then we do have thunderstorm activity possible later in the day tomorrow, closer to the supper hours, but it will be a little more isolated. So yes, there is the potential. Likely it will be north of Lethbridge, but I just want to give you a heads up on that. Okay, East Kootenay, small chance of a thunderstorm for the evening hours, and then a small risk late day tomorrow, but a good chunk of sunshine for most of the day, and 24 degrees is a high. Crowsnest Pass, small risk for this evening, But we are looking at a small risk as well later in the day tomorrow. Again, pretty isolated tomorrow, a high of 23. So again, you can see temperatures warming as well. We have the risk of thunderstorms right up until about midnight for the Medicine Hat area, and then a small risk later in the day tomorrow with a high of 25 degrees. And same idea goes for Lethbridge. Overnight rainfall though for tonight. And then we have a small chance of isolated showers late day tomorrow. But check out your temperatures. We're back into those 20s. We'll hold on to the 20s. In fact, we'll be pretty warm on Wednesday with a high of 27.
Alberta Health recorded 30 new measles cases over the weekend. That brings Alberta's total to 1,050 since March. 18 were confirmed in the South Zone, which has the vast majority of cases provincially at 699. 10 were confirmed in the North Zone, which has seen an uptick recently. Edmonton had 2. Measles is extremely contagious and can linger in the air for up to 2 hours after an infectious person leaves a space. Symptoms include a high fever and rash that appears 3 to 7 days after the fever begins. The majority of measles cases in Alberta have been in unvaccinated children. A small but powerful study shows patients with type 1 diabetes who received manufactured stem cells did not need insulin for 2 years. And the study included one Canadian woman. Here's Avis Favreau.
After a decade with type 1 diabetes, Amanda Smith has been liberated from the daily insulin and the dangerous sudden drops in blood sugar that threatened to send her into a diabetic coma.
I get emotional because I'm free from those handcuffs, I don't have that glooming over me every day.
She's one of 14 patients in a study using manufactured stem cells infused into her liver that produce the insulin and other hormones to manage her blood sugar levels. Scientists are reporting that of the 12 patients who received a single dose of these cells, all of them no longer had episodes of hypoglycemia, that blood sugar drop, and 10 of the 12 no longer needed insulin. In fact, Amanda's been insulin-free for nearly 2 years.
I don't have constant worry anymore. I can just live.
The stem cells are among the first off-the-shelf products made by this U.S. firm. Derived from embryonic cells, they're produced in large quantities like medications.
We know how they're going to function. So there's we think very little variability in the cells that are these cells that are being transplanted into patients.
But Amanda now needs these anti-rejection drugs to stop her immune system from killing off those cells.
I would not think twice about it. Taking a couple pills 3 times a day is nothing.
2 patients in the study died, one likely from the immune drugs. Doctors say it shows the need for people to be monitored at transplant centers. The other died of dementia. In those whom it worked, it's still too early to say how long the cells will last or if they will cut diabetic complications down the road.
The next phase of this study is already underway as doctors test these cells in a total of 50 patients in Canada and the United States, hoping the results lead to an approval of the treatment in the next 2 to 3 years. Avis Favreau, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, the Oklahoma City Thunder have won their first ever NBA title. We have sports next. Welcome back. The wet weather caused some postponements in WCBL action this weekend, but teams were back on the diamond Sunday. Lethbridge Bulls were in Okotoks yesterday for a game against the Dogs. The Bulls would come out on top with a 7-2 win. Medicine Hat Mavericks also recorded a win against the Moose Jaw Miller Express. The Brooks Bombers game was postponed because of the rain, but today the Bulls held a matinee during the afternoon against the Bombers at Spitz Stadium to mark the last week of school. The Bombers came out on top of this one with a final score of 10-5. A hard-fought NBA Finals has come to a close, and a Canadian was the best player on the court.
For the first time, the NBA champion resides in Oklahoma City. The storybook season is complete.
The Oklahoma City Thunder defeated the Indiana Pacers in 7 games in front of a cheering home crowd for the franchise's first NBA championship. Toronto's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander became the first Canadian to ever win the finals Most Valuable Player award. He scored a game-high 29 points while adding 12 assists and was named Finals MVP. Now, Gilgeous-Alexander is leading a new generation of Canadian basketball stars who have taken the NBA by storm. CTV's Camille Karamali has more on Canada's growing impact on the court.
Gilgeous-Alexander didn't slow down. A thrilling NBA Finals. One game for all the marbles. That went the distance. But the story of some of these big-time ballers began far from the big arena lights. Here in small-town Ontario, at community courts and school gyms is where it all started for Andrew Nembhard. His former coach, Gus Gymnopoulos, now watching him in the finals.
He's like family to us, so it's a proud moment.
Nembhard, one of 4 Canadians in this year's finals, tying a record set last year. On the Oklahoma City Thunder, league MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Hamilton, Ontario, Luguentz Dort from Montreal. On the Indiana Pacers, Andrew Nembhard from Aurora, north of Toronto, and Benedict Mathurin, also from Montreal. Dwayne Washington coached both Gilgeous-Alexander and Nembhard, signaling a major shift in Canadian basketball talent.
The players are better because the training has gotten better. Coaches and developers has taken their craft a little more seriously.
And that's because the developmental program has also gotten better. Government funding has increased, paying for better coaches, better courts, kids now playing at an earlier age.
Club basketball exploded, and so you've got tons of clubs all over the place. Kids have places to play. The barriers to entry are low.
And that's created better local competition, with young American athletes now coming up north.
Not only U.S. athletes, we're talking athletes from all over the world coming into our school programs because they understand, hey, there's something good happening in Canada.
Part of the rise in talent is also cultural. When the Toronto Raptors started the franchise in the 90s, it got more kids playing. Now those kids are all grown up.
And if you look at all the NBA guys, like they're kind of at that age right now where they would have been impacted by that.
Knowing a new generation of basketball fans are watching these finals now, imagining they'll be the next Canadians crowned NBA champions. Camille Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, we show you a different type of calving, iceberg calving, when we return. Now to some incredible video from the east coast of an iceberg calving. This was captured off the coast of Newfoundland and Labrador. The person who recorded it says they were there to see the icebergs and it didn't even take half an hour before this happened. They also said there was a huge crowd out to see it and the noise of the iceberg drowned out the cheers and laughs that were happening on the shore. Wow, that is pretty phenomenal. Incredible to see, especially this time of year. There's so many of those icebergs calving right off the east coast. Well, thank you for sharing this time with us tonight. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.